Okay. This next chapter is amazing.
So are we not doing a program over the last chapter?
Well, it'll kind of be combined in there.
Oh.
He's a
Kind of going to be combined in there. Okay. Objects and classes. Have we used classes at all yet?
No.
Yes, we have. We've used strings. We've used lists. We've used random. We've used those are all classes. Okay, you just never had to make your own.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now we're fixing to make our own.
How do you make your own?
Great question. Let's figure
How
out
do you make your own like string?
All right. So we are going to understand how to use classes and objects and encapsulation and all that stuff. And it was funny because there was an issue going over these slides today. I'm like, do you have a question?
Yeah, it's not.
Oh, it's not up there? Yeah. All right, it is now on Canvas. So we're going to learn how to implement all these things. But I was going through these slides today, and working with Jairus, we came up with a little bit, something that's not really in these slides, that makes it work a lot better, but I'm going to show it to you. So make it understand. Okay. It says you will learn how to discover, specify, and implement your own classes and how to use them in your programs. Object-oriented is what we're going to be talking about. Years ago, there was no such thing. Now it's wonderful. So we're going to talk about object-oriented, some simple classes. We're going to talk about public interface, some constructors, implementing, testing. I don't think we'll quite get to testing today, but we'll see. Okay. Any questions so far? You good, Tom? Mm-hmm. All right. Object-oriented. So far, what we learned about structured programming. You know how we made functions? We could call a function to do something. Everybody okay with that? We could call a function to read a file, a function to print lines, or whatever you guys had to do. Okay. We could all use reusable methods, but now we're going to worry about objects and classes to build larger and more complex programs. Okay. I think my compiler program in Tulsa is probably 7,000 lines, between 5,000 and 7,000 lines. And the cool thing about working with classes is each one's separate. So you get that one thing working, and yeah, you're going to love it. It's going to be great. You're going to just go home and work on this all night. You're going to love it.
I wish.
All right. So we learn how to use structures for programs by decomposing tasks into functions. You've already done that. Now we're going to get into object-oriented programming. We will be doing something in class today that you're going to turn in class today, because I'm not assigning a program yet, but we are doing an in-class exercise because I want you to follow along. We're going to do it somewhat right, somewhat wrong, on purpose, kind of.
What does that mean?
Well, because the way they show you isn't quite right. It is, but it's not. So we're going to walk through the way they do it, then we're going to explain what's wrong with it, okay? So when we start working with object-oriented programs, each object has its own set of data together with a set of methods and actions that we can perform on that object. Okay. Says, you have already experienced this program style when you use strings, lists, and files. We've already done that. You've already used classes. You just don't realize you've done it so far. Okay. Remember we used insert and remove? Remember doing that? We did append and all that. Those were methods that were performed on a class, right? So we've done all of those things already. Now in classes, you'll see in this example here, we have the string class, okay? There was an upper method that went with a string class. Remember when you made something uppercase or something lowercase, or checked if it was alpha or if it was numeric? Those are all different functions or methods, methods that pertain to the class, the specific string you were working with. So in this case, the string is hello world. We can convert it to upper. We can do whatever we want with it, okay? So far, so good? Nothing new. We've already done all this. So you've been using classes. You just never have made the class. Okay. So now, in contrast, if we have the list class, could we call upper? We could not, because upper was not part of the list class. Now, how do we know it's a list now? Because it's in the square brackets. You should know that by now. That's a string inside of a square bracket, so it's a list. We cannot call upper because upper is not a part of the list. But could we call pop? Yes. Could we call append? Yes. Okay. We just, different classes give you different capabilities. Everyone with me? That's on slide 8. We still all here? Did we lose anybody yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Can you give us the homework?
Now let's talk about public interfaces. It says, a set of all methods provided to the class together with the description of their behavior is called the public interface. In other words, the class, actually, I'm going to bring up this program I found the other day. You'll like it. It's called Google. And, Python strings. Now, if I just click on Python strings, I can find all kinds of information about using strings in Python. Okay, they tell me how to implement strings and how to use strings and the different methods I can perform on strings. That is called the public interface. How do I interface with the string class? Okay, hence the public interface. I'm the public interfacing with the string class. How do I do it? So far, so good? Okay. When you work with an object in a class, you do not know how the object stores its data or what it really does. Okay. I get in my car to drive home, and happened Sunday morning. Actually, I wasn't driving home Sunday morning, but my clock was off by now. Did anyone else have that? Why can our watches and everything else set perfectly, but our darn cars, it can keep the hours and minutes, but it doesn't know to add or subtract an hour? Y'all say that? So I was like, great. How am I going to interface with my car to change the darn time? So I had to go to the configuration menu. Naturally, while driving on the highway in a construction zone. That's the only way to do it.
Oh, really?
But I had to figure out how to access or how to interface with my car to change the darn thing. It was there. I just said, what am I doing? Twice a year. Okay. So they tell me, they give me the capability to do it, but they don't really tell me. Do I know how it's stored inside the car's memory? No. Do I know what happens when I push the power button? Anyone remember driving cars years ago when you actually could understand how everything worked? Nowadays,
I still understand how my car works.
what kind of car you got?
A Nissan Sentra,
What year?
2014.
There's probably 110 computers in there.
Maybe, but I know how to change the clock.
Yeah. Did you know that I think it was past 2012? Did you know there's 3 different buses in your car, and in an accident, they can tell if you have your seatbelt on, they can tell if your blinker was on, they can tell if your headlights were on, they can tell all that stuff about you, because all that's stored. Did you
They
know that?
can't
You
change
know-
the time.
They can tell if your seatbelt was buckled, but they don't know if you were in the buckle because you
Actually, they can tell if there's something in the seat. At least in my car, I can. Drives me crazy. If I put something big in the passenger seat, ding,
It's a
ding, 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 ding. Arr! But yeah, so, but how do we, we don't need, do we need to know how that stuff works? Unless you're the mechanic, think about it. The car mechanic or car designer is really like a programmer nowadays. Okay. So we're going to work on a class where we actually know everything it does. Okay. So all you need to know is the public interface, which methods can be applied and how to use them. We don't need to know what they do. All right. The process of providing a public interface while hiding the implementation is called encapsulation. So we're going to hide the details. Okay. Do you know the guy's building my house right now, putting shingles on here, hopefully right now. Do I really need to know how he built that structure and the roof and all? No, it's kind of cool knowing, but
I wouldn't just
Especially
because I don't just
if I
got
know
yeah, it's funny. So, guy across the street has a shed. He wanted to connect OG&E power to it. Well, he called OG&E and they said, we got to get a building permit because it's got to connect. Well, he went to get the building permit. They said, oh, you never had a building to put the shed in. But he says, I bought the house. The shed was already there. He says, well, there was never a permit. So you need to get a permit to put the shed in. But the shed's already there. So he's like, well, then I'll remove the shed. Well, now you got to get a permit to remove the shed. But the shed doesn't exist. So you see the problem he's having?
Very nice.
I would probably.
That's crazy. OG&E will not connect to it because it's not a permitted property. And you can't get it permitted because it doesn't exist.
You can't get it
You can't
removed.
put it there because it already exists.
Just run a
You
really
can't
long
remove it because it
extension
doesn't
cord to
exist. What?
Just run a really long extension cord to it.
Right?
Crazy. It's crazy. So, you know, I had a permit put for my remodel, and they are really, so they're gonna have to inspect the frame this week. The work in a program is being developed over a long period of time. It is common for implementation details to change, usually to make objects more efficient and more capable. Has anyone ever seen an update to a piece of software?
Yeah.
How often they update our phones?
Usually once
All the time. Windows today, I had to restart my machine, had to apply updates. Ugh. Does anyone ever get the feeling like me, like, great, what's not gonna work now?
Oh, that's my job.
They came out with a new app for my
That's
phone.
my job.
They came out with a new app for my smart lights at home. They gave this new capability that doesn't work. It drives me crazy. So, all right, let's continue on.
Games, what's broken?
We're gonna work with this tally counter. We're gonna make a tally counter class here in a second, okay? So, a tally counter is a class that models a mechanical behavior that is used to count people. You ever seen a tally counter before? That's the dude
Yeah.
sitting
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna make one of those on a computer.
Hey, will you try using REPL it instead of the idle so we can see both the code and the result at the same time?
Is that installed on here?
Just go to a web browser and type in repl.it.
Yeah, but it's black.
Well, I mean, you can change it if you want. I just think it would be easier.
RPL.it?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can make the font
What is
big
this?
enough.
But the dark
You
theme is
don't have to sign
better.
up, just choose a Python.
The dark theme is always better.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
You like
Hold on, where's Python?
Even better.
Like, have you ever used light theme on YouTube? It's terrible.
I use it all the time.
I use regular.
I also use my team of Discord.
Yeah, you see.
How do I use it with Python? Do I have to download
I
special
found
ones?
2.7.
There's
Second
a
column.
on the bottom.
Second column.
There you go. Now just click anywhere. And that
So this
will
is
go.
like
There you go.
the sim gauge.
Can I make it bigger?
Yeah, you can, I mean, just.
I want the
hit
font to be
Command
bigger.
Plus,
What?
Command plus, or Control plus. Sorry.
Control.
No,
That's cool.
that's good enough.
Okay, good enough for now?
Yeah.
All right. Hold on, let me go back over here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to implement this thing. It says we're going to increment the tally and get the current total, okay? Now, when instantiating an object is what they call it, you call it. So I'm going to type this right here. I'm going to go into my code. You can type, follow along. You're going to be doing all this code anyway. Tally equals counter, okay? Tally equals counter. I think it was with an uppercase C. Okay, everybody got that? Now, can I save this locally?
Yeah, but you have to sign up.
Okay. Great, right? Yeah.
But then it's there forever, under that few cluttered area, and we can all access it after the class.
So I have to sign up though?
Yeah, you can do it later. It'll save view cluttered after you sign up.
Okay. So what this is doing, this is saying I'm creating a new variable called tally. And what's the equal sign mean?
Assigning.
Assignment operator. That's equal to this counter thing. Okay. Now, that's actually going to be a constructor. Now, how do I run in here?
Just hit the run, that green one, there you go.
And my results are, there it goes. Okay. Under console, you see we got an error. So why did I get an error? Anybody? Counter is not defined at this point. Because I said tally equals counter, but counter is not defined. Can you guys see this okay back here?
Yes.
You're supposed to say no, so I can go back to idle.
You can go back. I just thought it would be better. if
Yeah, that's
it's not
fine.
Access
We're
it.
going to try. Okay. So, it says, first we construct an object of the class. So what this does is it created an instance of the class called counter. It attempted to. But since we didn't have the class available, it's like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Okay? So in Python, don't explicitly declare an instant variables. Instead, when you first use them, they are created. Okay? So far, so good? Did you have a question?
So if we define counter, then we can do this.
Yeah, we are going to define it here in a second. All right. So now what if we want to reset it? I could say tally.reset just like string.upper, list.add, whatever. Reset is going to be a method of our. Okay. Now, is method a part of tally or is method a part of counter? It's part of counter. Tally just happens to be the instance of the counter. Okay. Now, will it run yet? Let's try it. Still doesn't work. We still have not defined counter at this point. Okay. I'm just going to type what they have tally.click in there twice. So I don't know why they quite did it in this order, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Paul.
Then they did.
Why do you have to do click twice?
Two people come in, click, click. Remember, it's like a tally counter. Like, you ever seen those guys standing at the door of the show that click, click, click every time
Yeah.
someone walks in? Yeah. Then we're going to do get value, do result, get value. All right. Then we need click again, and then again. Okay. So if this works correctly, the first one would have created an instance of our object. Then we would have reset it to 0. Technically, we wouldn't need to reset it in this case. Then we would have clicked it twice. So what should results be on line 5?
2.
Should be 2. Then we click it a third time, result should be 3. Okay, that's what it should be. But again, if I go to run it, it's going to be like, we still don't know what counter is. All right. So far, so good. Everybody with me? So now, did I miss something? It says an object stores its data in what's called an instance variable. Okay? So an instance of a class is an object of the class. Tally is an instance of the counter class. Just haven't created it yet. Now, example, each counter object has a single instance variable called value. Okay, in this case, value, which we're going to see here in a second. Don't worry about that. For example, if concert counter and boarding counter are two objects of the counter class, and each has its own value. In this example, they have a concert counter, then they have a boarding counter. You can have as many instances of this that you want, and each one of them will keep track of their own value, which is very nice. Okay. So far, so good? All right. Instance variables are part of the implementation details that should be hidden from the user. Now, on the code we are writing over, did I ever say anything about the value variable? No. I never used value at all. I said click. What should click do to value?
Add to it.
It should add to it. What should get value do?
Return the
It
value.
should return it. So we don't really care how it's being stored. We don't even care what the variable name is. We need to know how to interface with it through the public interface. Okay. All right. With some languages, an instant variable can only be accessed by the methods of its own class. The Python language does not enforce this restriction. That's a big issue. Okay. This is the issue I had a discussion with about Jairus. Okay. We have public and private. Okay. You really, I mean, think about a bank account, for instance. Okay? My bank account today is going to reach the all-time low it's been at in like 5 years. Because I had to write a guy a check today and have put the money in. I mean, it's there, but not enough. But my question is,
Won't be for long.
would my balance variable, I mean, would it be a good idea for me to share it with other people? No, it should pertain to my account only. You agree? How should I be able to put money in my account? Making a deposit, stuff like that. How should I be able to get money out?
Withdrawal.
Withdrawal, maybe write a check or use the ATM. Okay. But the balance itself should not be able to be just manipulated. Should there be any way to go into my account and say, Ken Dewey's got $1,000? No. How's the only way Ken Dewey can get $1,000? By putting money in. There should be some method or functionality to get the money in. So when things are restricted, like they say here, they're restricted, you know, Python really doesn't do that correctly, but we're going to make it do it. because we figure out how to do it.
Private.
But,
Private.
so it says, however, an underscore indicates the class users that they should not directly access instance variables. So when we create our variables, we're going to use underscores. But that last sentence bothered me. So the underscore indicates to class users that they should not directly access the instance variables. Should not. That doesn't sound good, does it? I would much rather have can't. You know what I mean? Isn't can't a lot better? So I could just see them telling Elevator, okay, you should not go in and just manipulate your account balance. No.
Yes,
could see
I will.
that. I just won the lottery.
Like, you are right.
All right.
$200 million later.
So, class methods. We're going to type this here in a minute. The methods provided by the class that are defined in the class body, in this case, the click method. The click method takes its value and increments it by 1. Now, we're going to reference the word self. We're going to use self a whole bunch. Self pertains to the instance that's calling it. We're going to see that in a minute. So method definitions are very similar to a function that you guys have used before. It's part of your class, and we always use self. Just remember, self is always the first part of it. Always. Always, always, always.
For a method.
In the method, yes. Note that the click value increments the instance variable value, which we just saw. Which instance variables? Well, the one belong to the object of self, and we're going to see that here in just a second. Okay, I'm actually going to. Okay, and there's GetValue, so I don't know why they just didn't show us the code here first.
Is self kind of like this and other languages?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay, GetValue, again, self is saying whichever. So if it was tally counter or concert counter or bus counter, self is referring to whichever one is calling it. So GetValue returns its value because we keep the value with each one. Right. It says provided so that the counter class can find out how many times they've been clicked and return the values. Okay, here's our code. We're going to write this code. Now, we're going to write this in 2 different pieces. Okay. This code is going to be in one file. This code is going to be in another file. And you notice they kind of like left off half the lines. Except, I love this top part. This is the complete example. That's missing pieces. So yes, it will not function. So how? Okay, let's finish writing this left side. Actually, we got most of this one already, don't we? No, we need to do print value. We need to do this print statement. So I'm going to put that print statement in here. Print. Okay, got that.
Oh, I like it. It automatically does the parentheses for you. That's really nice. One less thing to forget about.
So let's say value, not result. Okay. Now, how can I get a second file over here, Will? I need another one.
No, you open up the settings over there, but I mean, for this, you may want to just copy that into idle. I mean, the neat thing about this is that later on we can go to few cluttered areas and pull that exact code and see how it works later on. You have to sign in with your Git account. See that gear to the far left? There you go. Now,
I can't create another one in here.
oh my goodness,
Well, there's a font size.
I need 2 files.
I've created a monster. I'm sorry.
Just copy this.
That's all.
I mean, you may want to just copy it into idle. This once you have an account, it should pop up and let you put as many files as you want.
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing that. I have to go up and sign up and all that stuff.
Hit sign up.
So much work.
It's literally just
Now just use your Git account.
I don't have a Git account.
You don't use Git?
use
No.
your Google.
Oh, you mean GitHub?
Google then. Yeah, GitHub.
Oh, I don't know what my darn password is.
Blast.
Hold on. Hold on a second.
I
I'm
didn't-
gonna pause the recording as I get my account working. Oh, I did resume my recording. For those of you who are, what I had to do was I had the wrong version of Python up here. So I had to click this top left icon. I had to go select Python. I had Python with turtle. And then I had the ability to add a new file.
All they need to do is go to the URL that's up above there, and they'll be able to pull up your screen exactly the same.
While I'm typing it?
Yeah, it's in real time.
Wow.
That's cool.
What's yours doing wrong over
I
here?
just didn't. It's not.
You didn't call it counter.py. You gotta tell it's a Python file.
Okay.
Ah, look at that, huh? Good point. It has to be a Python file.
Interesting.
So you guys can bring up alphanumeric flaky file.
Oh, it's case sensitive.
Okay. So I'm gonna run my main now, see what it's doing. See, we're still gonna get some errors. Okay. Counter's not defined yet. Sure it is.
Get into the rest of it.
I don't have a constructor yet. Okay. Y'all with me so far? Okay. Next part we're gonna have in there. We're gonna have click.
Oh. We'll put the thing there.
Make sure you're putting the self in there. I wrote my code a little bit different from theirs.
I think it's just equal. Oh.
Okay, you guys do have the slides, by the way.
Yeah.
Doesn't it need to
Then
be
I want to reset.
Doesn't it need to be underscore value?
Yep, sure does.
Why does it have to be underscore value? Is that?
Because that's the match. And we're going to get more into that in a minute. Okay. I'm going to run this one. Okay.
Oh, you need to close you need to have closed parentheses after counter.
Where am I missing one?
Last
class.
counter, you need closed parentheses before the colon.
And mine looks fine.
Oh, there?
Yep. It's like a function.
Yeah. If you're gonna make it a value equals counter.
Is it in my main or where are you talking about?
No, it should be when you make classes. That's how classes. What are you doing with PowerPoint?
You have the PowerPoint.
Mine looks just fine.
You're fine. Leave it.
Well, his is.
And PowerPoint doesn't have it. But I feel like
Doesn't need it. It should not need the parentheses there.
That's okay.
Shouldn't. Hold on.
should.
You need that PowerPoint.
It's because you're setting it equal to the parentheses.
Yeah, but that should be right. Hold on. What are we doing wrong? It shouldn't need it. Maybe it does. No.
That didn't help. What do you do?
Called counter. Oh, I know what the problem is. I forgot to write the import statement. You notice how at the very top up there?
Oh, I thought you did that already.
No, from counter, import counter. How bad? I knew there was something they missed on here. Yay! Okay, good. I was worried there for a minute.
Okay. How many of us are gonna
All right, so everybody do it to the point where you get it to work right here. Everybody along with me?
I cannot import name counter. It's because I need the.
Remember, counter has to be lowercase, but the class must be uppercase.
Counter's not defined.
You getting that?
How much? Oh, it's because you're back to your main one. Needs to be your
This one too?
No, tally equals counter.
Oh.
Then try.
Yep.
Working now?
Thanks, Tyler.
So everybody go with me? All right, now we're going to change a couple things on here in a minute. So this is our complete class. Let's talk about what this is doing. Okay, so it says get the current value of the counter. So GetValue will return the current count of the value. But I want to change my code up a little bit. So when I run this, so I'm going to run this again, you'll see I get value 2, value 3. So this, actually, I'm going to put a 1 and a 2 here so I can tell them apart. So which one's giving me what, okay? So value 1 is giving me a 2. I got that because I reset, then I clicked once, I clicked twice. Whoops, I just did. Then I got the value, and then I printed it out. So the 2 is after 2 clicks. Then I did a third click, then I got the value again. So value 2 becomes 3. So far, so good? Well, what if I now, you remember inside the counter class, we have, where's my file? We have a variable called value. Let's see if I can access it directly. Print tally dot underscore value. Can I access it directly? Let's find out. Okay, you know I said you should not be able to change your bank account or even manipulate your bank account at all? Whoops. Now we can, can't we? Do you agree with that on line 12? I'm accessing the value without going through the GetValue method? Is that good or bad? It's real bad. It's not a good thing. According to the slides, Python can't help you with that. But now think about it. Normally on a language, someone writes a program, gets it compiled. But with Python, if you're running it, you have access to the file to begin with. There's a way to fix it. Go over here, see where it says underscore value, put 2 underscores. So I want 2 underscores. Okay?
Underscore.
Oops, I missed one.
No, it's whatever you're calling it.
Oh, okay. So now when I go to access it over here, you'll notice value no longer matches. But I'm going to put a second underscore here. I still can't do it. So there's 2 underscores here. There's 2 underscores there, and it no longer works. Why? Because it's protected now. It's like a private variable. You should not be able to access the variable directly. That's what we want. The slides don't show you that, but this is how you do it.
So a double.
Okay, what I did was
makes it private.
over here, right, it makes it private. Over here, I put double underscores, and it made it so it can no longer be accessed outside of the class. The whole difference between public and private, public, anybody can access it. Private, it can only be accessed from internal to its own class. So inside of the counter class, all the methods can access it, no problem. But outside, we can no longer access it. That's what we want.
So if it's double underscore, does that have to be before the name of the value? Does it always have to be in the front? Or could you put
Yes, that's in the front.
Okay.
Yes, it does. No, but like you can't do value double underscore afterwards. Okay. So you see the difference there? They really don't show you in the slides. All right. What's something else? So if I was doing a, actually, let me go on a couple more slides, then we're going to get to the next part. We don't missing just a little bit still. Okay, when you design a class, start by specifying the public interface. What tasks will the class perform? What methods are needed? And what parameters will the methods need to receive? So if I'm working with a little tally thing, what operations would I want to use on that? Obviously, click. So someone else walks through, I want to click. Anything else?
Reset.
Reset.
Remove.
Oh, yeah, what if you mess up?
Okay, remove. Okay, you know, that's the one that's not in there. What if, you know, I accidentally clicked it twice, but didn't mean to? Can you see that happening? How do you fix that? So if you're the person working the doorman at the concert tonight, those little things really don't have a lot of functionality. How do you undo a click? You probably just don't count the next person because you've already counted it.
Yeah.
But I want to fix our class so we can unclick it.
Increment down.
Let's do it. Let's fix this. So what am I going to have to add to give the unclick functionality?
And unclick.
It's another method.
Yeah, an unclick method.
So in here, inside the counter class, so what are we going to call it?
Unclick.
Unclick. Okay. So I have to put self in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Now what do I do with it?
Set that value minus equals or plus no, minus equals one.
Minus equals 1. Okay. So is that working?
Minus. Long time.
Okay. Oh, I gotta get rid of, remember we know this one doesn't work over here. Gotta get that one out. All right. So let's test this thing. So here, after value 1, instead of clicking it again, let's unclick it. Okay, so I did that. So what should this print now? Should print 2, and then what?
2.
Or no, 1.
2 and then 1. Because we clicked it twice, so we're going to print the 2. Then we're going to unclick it and potentially print the 1. Let's test it. Nice. So,
Could you go back to your counter real quick? I think I
Yeah.
did something wrong.
now according to their code, they did self.value is equal to self.value minus 1, but you could still do it this way. Remember, those are 2 underscores. Okay, and you notice how I have the capital C on click? You don't have to, it just makes it more uniform.
Yeah, why did you give me 1?
Oh, invalid syntax. Not sure what it's telling me it's the minus equals.
Oh, it's because you have equals minus equals.
Get rid of
Oh,
it.
you're right, I do. Interesting.
Wait,
Okay. Counter object has no attribute on it.
you probably didn't call it right.
So I made note on that.
Call it unclick or something over here.
It's okay. Yeah, that's why.
Boink. Oh, boink.
Yeah, William, so far I'm liking this. It's nice.
Yeah, the neat thing about it is anyone who's not here can follow along in real time.
So,
Anyone who goes to that URL, I'm following everything you're typing from my computer. So
I could copy this thing right
yeah,
here.
you can send that to somebody, but also just the URL that's in your web browser, all of us can just put that in our web browser. Everything that you're doing is showing up on my screen.
So down here, I could say external URL.
Yeah, exactly. And then it'll be saved under that unique name later on. And if you open up another REPL for another class, it'll be saved.
Again,
under another
backwards.
unique name.
It is GET, isn't it, for GitHub? Yeah, it is.
I'm pretty sure you're doing
Yeah,
it backwards.
What?
You added
Yeah.
the page name in the URL and the URL in the page name.
What? Whatever.
No, that's correct. I just copied the URL. I did. I actually
That's all
copied
you
that right
need
there.
is that URL. That's it. If you put that URL in your web browser, his will come up.
Well, why can't it
Well,
work?
it's because it doesn't lead to a link.
Yeah, it's because you have it as page name.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I'm
sorry.
saying.
I understand what you're saying now.
Get URL. He died there.
Yeah, like
Unexpected.
That's on you. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
Let me cancel. Let me do it again. Hold on.
That's not even.
remove. So I've seen that in Canada. If you do something wrong one time, it's like, huh?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that should be.
Except that other thing I can't get rid of now.
Can you
Okay, is it
Viewable?
working now?
You didn't make it either,
Shh, didn't make it viewable. Yes, I
Yeah, there
did.
you did.
There it
And if
goes.
we start typing on yours, it'll fork on ours.
Oh, wow.
So that we can start adding to yours. If we have our own accounts on REPL, if we start typing on
Yeah.
yours, it'll take alphanumeric flaky file and then add something onto it and fork it onto our REPL page.
That's cool. Okay, so we all got this working so far? Yes, everybody?
I'm telling you, it'll save a ton of confusion.
But the only issue I see with this,
It's cheating.
well, not necessarily cheating, because this is an in-class exercise. We're all gonna do the same thing anyway.
It's
But I want you to type this, because it's like, over here, he missed it, that. I mean, it's those little things that sometimes really help you. Okay, now, let's see what the big benefit of object-oriented is. So we all got this working, correct?
Yeah.
Wait, so can we touch it or no? Like if we type on our end, will it appear on there? Or
I don't think so. I think you get your own page.
It forks, so
If
it
you type
turns
it,
into
yeah,
your own.
if you add the is
Oh.
and hit run, it'll fork it. If you add the, if you try to add the is.
oh, but
And
we
then
need
hit run,
but we need
it'll
an
fork
account
onto
for that,
yours.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now, so
Go run your copy.
what's my tally counter? We need to get a better name than tally. We're gonna call this the concert.
Oh.
Just rename tally to concert. Let's do it. All of them. Let's try.
Are you kidding?
What am I doing this? I should just copy and paste.
Yeah, hopefully everybody's just copying and pasting. You're not, doing it all again, no. Okay, so we all got that?
You'd be too efficient.
It's like too much time.
Come on, man.
There's so many tablets. Yeah, just gotta like highlight them slowly.
But now I want to do something else. Now we're going to keep track of how many of you get on a bus. Actually, how many of you in the class today?
Can you do
Actually, I
that?
can't call it class.
Okay.
Ken class.
Someone do. Dun, dun, dun. Counter.
Don't click.
But then we're going to have Arlene's across the hall. Okay, and I got an error in there. Someone tell me what the error is.
Needs to define our lead class.
Todd, you're too fast.
Let's try it.
Over here, I'm going to say print.
Good.
Ken's total.
And this is
Mess something up.
Oh.
What did I do wrong?
You're,
Gotta bring this over so I can see my error.
it's line 6.
So line 14.
And then line 20 as well, it should.
What's wrong with that?
Causing an issue with counter.
It should work. Okay, I'm gonna comment this out, make sure. Try running this.
Counter has no.
Okay, that's fine. The heck? That means we have something wrong with line 6 and counter. Let's go look at line 6 and counter. That should work, doesn't it?
Is it because it's the double?
Maybe.
No, it should work with it. Oh, wait a minute. Huh.
You have to import it?
We're missing something. We haven't got there yet. We're
We're
gonna add something first. Hold on. We gotta cover it on the slide first.
This guy.
Sorry.
Instantiated it?
Yeah, we need to create the constructor. Okay, we haven't got there yet. Let me show you that. Sorry, I totally forgot we didn't do that part yet. This, now we're talking about a cash register class. Again, it's just a different type of class. We're talking about things you can do with it. But I want to get over until the part, I'll come back to this if you want, where we need, come on, where are you? This one. We need this. Whenever you have multiple instances, we need a constructor. So we need this inside of ours. Okay, but we don't need those bottom two variables. So let's do this one. So I'm going to put mine here at the top because I feel like it. It's 2 underscores. Init, self, and 2 underscores again. And then self dot like that. That should fix it. Okay. I didn't think about that. We didn't have that yet.
So,
Okay, let me explain what this thing does. There's something called a constructor. Okay, so if you're going to build a house, you need a foundation first, correct? Then you build a house on it. This is our foundation. When I say Ken class equals new counter, it gives me a foundation. It sets my values to 0, and then I can build upon it. Okay, we didn't have that part. So the moment we had it, but then we called Ken class, it's like, whoa, you need to create a new instance, and we didn't have a constructor to do that. So going back into this class, now I should be able to bring all this code, and it should work. Should. Yay!
Still getting
Still getting an error?
I've got the.
You have your constructor like that with 2 underscores, init, 2 underscores, and self, and then self dot 2 underscores value is 0.
so it's weird is it's giving me 0 for Ken's total and our leaf total.
Then you don't have something right. Let's see what you got.
Yeah.
Where's your open and close parentheses after all your clicks?
Oh.
See how you got parentheses there?
You don't there, so don't there.
Oh.
How do you change it
Open up a new.
So easy.
Yeah, you weren't calling this method.
That I have on. See that?
to?
Oh, I missed
It's
it.
up on his screen.
How are we doing in the back? Is it working?
Refresh your screen.
Good. Shady, you with me? All right.
Good now.
Everybody got this?
Oh my God.
So what,
Yeah.
do you
I'm, like, spelling her
understand
name.
how easy it was to convert that to a concert and very quickly to make a class for Ken and very quickly to make a class for Arlene? We can literally make 1,000 classes really quickly. So we don't have to recreate the click class. We don't have to create the get results. We don't have to create the results. We don't have to do the init, anything. We just did that one
So
time.
you can use one class for multiple other classes, period.
Yeah. We can use that class for everything. That's the coolest about object-oriented. You design that class and build upon it so nicely, you can use it over and over and over. So we need to add functionality to this counter class. What other type of functionality can we add? Someone's got to give me an example.
Print results or final tally.
Okay, we could do final tally. Actually, before we do that, I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna say print final tally. And we're gonna call it concert get final tally. We'll just do get final. Okay. So I'm gonna do the same thing down here for Ken. I'm gonna call it Ken class. And actually, this is not Ken total. This was Ken current.
It's supposed to be okay.
Okay. So I added the final tally feature to all three of those. But I haven't written it yet. So if I go run this thing, it's going to be we don't have final tally. So I can very easily go in here now to define final tally. Or it's just called final?
It's finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
Actually, this time I'm going to leave off self on purpose.
Finally.
It's finally. LY.
Finally, the capital R. Get finally.
Oh, get finally. Oh well. That's good. Get finally. Actually, no, that's not the one I want. Okay. So I got an error. Let's look at what the error says. Get finally takes 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given. Basically, we're trying to access something, but we didn't give it anything.
So
we need to give it self.
It's not self.
And then fix it.
Where was the other one? There was one by Ken's parent. And there was another one after Arlene, right?
Yeah. But you see, we added that small method called getFinally. Then we're able to call it for all 3 instance objects without having to write anything else. Isn't that nice?
Can you extend like other built-in classes in the same way?
I think you can.
Okay.
Actually, I'm 99% positive. I just. Yeah. So far, so good? Do you like an object-oriented so far?
I think this needs to go down.
Yes. Just say yes.
Until I make my own.
Oh, you'll be making your own. The super elaborate one.
Yeah, there it goes.
What's that?
Oh, you wanted the final tally for the concert. That's why that was up there. Okay. That makes more sense.
All right, well, question for you. If you went to my link, could you run it without changing anything?
I am, yeah.
So technically, you don't have to do your own work anymore in class.
Well, I mean, you could hide you don't have to make the URL public.
Okay, but since it is public, could you, I mean, without writing anything, could you run this and get that result?
I just did.
Nice.
I can do it right now too.
I'm doing it now.
You see why I like it, right?
Oh, no, for use, it's great. It is, because you can use other stuff, and that's the whole point of object-oriented, reusable code, sharing of resources and stuff.
I mean, when you don't want us to be able to follow along without, I mean, you can go into idle, and what I don't like about idle is I can't see, like when you put up the results, I can't see your code.
Yeah, because two different things. Yeah, good point. All right, so everybody's got this. Can we think of anything else we can add? There's got to be something else. What if?
Merge.
Well, how about 2 of you walk in at the same time? So we need a double click function.
Family.
Actually, let's do double because family could have more than 2. Let's do double click. help me write a double click function.
So a +1 yourself.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, get.
All right, what are we going to call this thing?
Double click.
The +1.
This
I like
double
+1
check.
shorter. +1.
What did I do?
Oh no.
Don't forget yourself.
So what are we going to do here?
Increment by 2.
How did that happen?
Plus equals 2.
Left.
All right? But see how easy it is to make this new little functionality and instantly it's available to all instances of this place. So now if I go over here, you know, Ken's classes, y'all aren't coming in with your boyfriends or girlfriends or husband and wives. So we're only going to implement it up here. So I'm going to implement it right. I'm going to get rid of, actually, I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to change this one to +1. So this should have been 1, 2, 3. Should print out a 3, decrement to 2, print out a 2. So it should get a 3 and a 2.
Correct.
Test it. Ah, amazing. And you got to admit, that's super handy and easy being able to change it in one area in the class and instantly use the functionality somewhere else. Y'all agree with that?
I guess I'm still confused by the .value.
Okay. You do not have to call it underscore value. You could have called it just value. You're wondering about the underscore
Just
value?
like when you're calling all this, where it'll automatically add it, like if you do click, it'll add a value.
Right.
But what I just don't get where it's already set what that value is.
Okay. Well, this is probably somebody else's question as well. When I call counter, right here, it calls that constructor, that init thing, and sets it to what?
0.
Sets it to 0. So
Oh.
value at that point is 0.
So that's the instantiation.
Right.
Okay.
And when I call reset, which we technically didn't need, but when I call reset, what's it set it to?
0.
0 as well.
Okay.
So when I call click, what is click saying?
Adding 1.
So click is equal to click plus 1. So the value is equal to 0. So the value is equal to 0 plus 1. So the value becomes 1. Then we get the plus 1. The value is currently 1. So now we're saying the value is equal to the value, which is 1, plus 2. So we end up with 3.
Okay.
So the underscore value in the constructor is where it's storing it. That's the instance variable for this class. Because you'll notice Concert, Ken, and Arlene all ended up with different values. The Concert had a final tally of 2, Ken had a final tally of 3, and Arlene had a final count of 2. But even though Arlene and Concert were the same, they're not the same. Because Arlene real easily could have had a couple plus 1 show up at the last second. Oops, so right. I can't my fingers off.
That's interesting. All you gotta do is hit 4.
Now Arlene's going to quickly go up to 6.
So could you set the value in it
Yes, you can.
to be a string?
Not a string, because you can't add strings. But I could say, you know what?
But say the rest of the methods would be adding like concatenating.
You could. Yes, you could.
Okay.
I could set this to 1. Now when I run this, you'll see everybody's incremented by 1 because it started off at 1. Think about it. You ever take a cruise ship? It's always default to double occupancy. So you can always set it to 2. You know, that kind of stuff. So yeah, you can set it to, that's the good thing about this constructor. You can set whatever you want. You can set values. You can set names. Like say you're going to have a baby, okay? Like Caitlin's going to have. As soon as a baby's born, it's going to have a name. It's going to have an age. It's going to have a weight. It's going to have all that stuff, okay? So right now, since she's pregnant, they probably already have a baby object for her because she's seeing a doctor, okay? And once the baby's born, then other stuff's gonna start changing. So your constructor can do so much more. Think about it when you order a car. You know how you order a car and then instantly you get the base model. Now let's add this, or we're gonna add this, or we're gonna add this, and we're gonna add this. Then you could add functionality to it. So this could be the base car. Now we're gonna add this and add the nav system, add the whatever, and then whatever.
Backup camera.
So far, so good?
I'm gonna remember that my baby is an object.
I want a screenshot like this, showing me this and some output. Okay?
Yep.
Showing the code of the class and some output showing you ran it. I'm gonna go make a new assignment real quick.
No, I think you know. Drop. Yeah.
You're gonna take a snapshot of it and you're gonna put it up there.
Does it need to be the one that you? Where
You know what'd be
add
awesome
the-
is if y'all change it to your names.
It is mine.
It'll take you 1 second to change it to your name. Instead of Ken and Arlene, put your name somewhere.
Oh.
Oh, wait, I already screenshot.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Oh my god.
Screenshots are unlimited.
Okay.
5.
Wait, so my name,
Just change Ken to Will.
okay, in the,
You're gonna have
not in
two
the,
like that.
not in the class, in the calling.
Right in the calling of it.
Yeah,
In the calling of it. So
okay.
your
I'll have
output.
to-
Right.
I have to change everything to say.
Oh my God, you gotta change everything.
Oh,
So hard.
You want the,
So scary.
You want the outcome of it?
I had to enter everything
Output
manually.
needs to say William, Summer, and Tim, and whatever.
Okay, we got 10 class.
Well, I'm leaving that.
Wait, I have to change.
Wait, you don't
Just
have to
change one of
the
those.
class, you just have to change the print statement though.
Yeah, you really just have to change print statement.
Okay,
Right.
so you want us to keep Ken's class, but change the print statement.
Either way,
Well, I already changed everything else, so I don't care.
I'm gonna snip it.
don't make me snip it twice.
You want a screenshot of the counter file, right? Not the main file.
I want the class file, but the output.
So the,
Hold on, I'll show you again in 1 second what's this look like.
at the time one.
Do, do, do.
Can I just send this screenshot of all three?
Okay, give me a screenshot of this so I can see your class and the output showing at least your name on one of these.
I didn't do it first.
Oh.
Wait, so did you want the counter file or the main file?
Counter file. I'm so difficult, I know.
Oh, you wanted the counter?
Got it.
We said that like 5 times.
I know, he just registered what they were saying. Ah.
We'll stop the recording.
Okay.
Again, screenshot just like it's on my screen here with the counter class and the output.
He said that, and it was like, wait a minute, as I was
Wait a minute.
literally clicking.
Yeah.